The All Blacks versus Ireland match is just around the corner for the Rugby World Cup 2023 quarterfinals, and in this video we will be trying our best to get into the mind of Ian Foster and predict what the All Blacks will go with in their starting lineup and reserves up against this tough Irish side. But it is myself and it is Rugbyitch. This is a massive game for a quarterfinal. The Irish, they've been more consistent with the lineup that they've been selecting. Do you see the All Blacks going with a strong side or a makeshift team again with informed players from what we've seen from their past fixtures?
This probably may give it away in terms of my lineup overall, but I've gone with what they've gone with in the past in terms of what they see as the best team. Not like, I guess they're not going to choose a lot of players on form. They may pick one or two, but I think most of the big calls will be based on just players who've played more minutes in that position.
And I should mention, ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to predict what the coaches will do, not what we would do. I have to disclaim that at the start because some of these selections, not what I would plan on doing, but of course we're trying to get into the mind of Foster. So we will start with yourself, Rugbyitch. Front row, who have you got as 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, so in terms of my front row that I've selected here, I've gone with the likes of Alfatunga Fassi at number 1. Number 2, I've gone with Cody Taylor. Number 3, I've gone with Nibalala. So yeah, I've gone with a Blues propping duo there with Cody Taylor in the middle. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's one of those where Lomax is still up in the air if he'll be available in time for this game. And yeah, just even the group just hasn't, I don't know, he just hasn't looked like his normal self really. And it's just, I mean, I was telling you this before the recording, but just we used to see Ethan de Groot and Tyler Lomax as the starting duo, and they had a ton of minutes actually going into this Rugby World Cup. But of course now it's just suddenly changed like that, and now Alfatunga Fassi and Nibalala are now seen as the starting combo there. So it's interesting, but yeah, no, with Cody Taylor, It's weird because, I mean, it's a similar argument with him because Takalaho was also the starter, but now Cody Taylor's kind of retained back his spot. So, yeah, the All Blacks have made a lot of changes actually from a front row position. So, yeah, we'll see if it pays off or not because I'm not sure if this was the same lineup. I think maybe there was one change when going against the Irish back in the July series back in 2022. I think Takalaho was playing, was the starter in that one. I could be wrong. And I think probably Ethan de Groot may have been started then. I don't think Tyler Lomax was. I could be wrong, but they've made a lot of changes around this World Cup. So hopefully that's what they go with. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, I hope so too, because that's what I've got written down on my sheet. Number 1, Alfatunga Fassi. Number 2, Cody Taylor. Number 3, Nepo Lulala. Now, Alfatunga Fassi in that last game up against Uruguay, I thought he did relatively well. He's probably been given more minutes than first anticipated throughout this Rugby World Cup due to the suspension of Ethan de Groot. They don't seem to want to back to Mighty Williams in the starting lineup, so that is why I think Tuanga Fassi, very good chance of starting in this contest. Cody Taylor, great with a rolling maul, also the line-out accuracy, normally on point. I think the bigger question mark is who they go with off the bench here, whether it's Taukei'aho or Dane Coles, but of course, we will get to them in a short moment. 3, Nepo Lulala, back into the starting side. Lomax did look like he wasn't quite 100% and then ending up re-injuring himself. So I don't even know if we'll see him play this game. They might decide to rest him just in case. But then that would be, of course, relying on the fact that the All Blacks would win this. And from this Irish side, it's going to be a very tough day at the office, no matter the result. But looking at the locking duo now. Number 4, Brodie Retallick, and number 5, Scott Barrett. 2 men who did not start in the last game up against Uruguay. Instead, they did go with Sam Whitelock, bringing up his 150th cap, and Tupavai at number 5. But I believe this Barrett and Retallick duo is the way to go for the ABs. Retallick's an absolute workhorse. We don't actually know the Irish locks as of yet because there is that injury that we did see of James Ryan. But at this stage, I'd still say Retallick and that physicality of Barrett will work quite nicely going head-to-head with the Irish.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more there. I mean, I like the choices, and that's exactly the reason why I've gone with the exact same duo. I've gone with Retallick number 4, Barrett number 5. Just that's the combination you got to go with. Like you said, they were they were rested really in the last game, so it just makes a lot of sense obviously to go with them in this one. And yeah, I think them two alone. Like, I just think when you have Retallick on form, he is one of the best locks in the world, up there with the very best, really. And yeah, Scott Barrett's been one of the best locks, I'd say, in 2023. And maybe a bold thing to say, when you're comparing all the locks in the world, and I guess from tier 1 nations and tier 2, of course, but I think Scott Barrett's been pretty impressive overall. So yeah, he's going into this quarterfinal definitely with a bit of, I guess, vengeance, like most of these All Blacks will be.
I've got to remember they're going up against Tyke Byrne more than likely as well. A man who's already got 3 tries in this Rugby World Cup competition.
So highly. Yeah,
he's going to be an impact player for sure. Looking at the loose forward trio, the injuries is probably a talking point for the ABs as of late, but a few returns recently. How many of those injury returns are starting in your loose forward trio?
Well, I've gone with 2 of them. I've gone with Shannon Vizel, number 6. I've gone with Sam Kane to obviously captain the side, and Otis Villa at number 8. So, yeah, it's tough because normally I would always want to have Dr. Papali included somewhere because I just think he's an awesome player to have. But it just makes more sense to have Sam Kane in there. And again, he had a good game against against Uruguay, so he can obviously carry that on into this one against the Irish. And again, Otis Villa was rested, which was needed because what I saw was that he actually has played, I think, all 8 of the tests, which the All Blacks have played throughout 2023, and hasn't had a single minute of rest. So for him to have that opportunity is definitely needed. So I'm kind of happy he got that chance. And then with Shannon Vizel, again, another player who's kind of come back from injury, will be finding his form. So that was probably the position where I was considering Papali to maybe slot in at 6, but I feel you got to go with Vizel because I think he's earned it for what we saw from the Rugby Championship. So Vizel, Kane, Sevilla, that's my starting trio there.
So for myself, Shannon Vizel, he is going to be my number 6 physical man, and when he's out there on the field, when he's in form, we saw it in the game up against South Africa when he ran over the top of Willie Leroux. Like, if he is on song, it's going to be an exciting day at the office, and I think the big thing for the All Blacks will be getting to those breakdowns. We know how quick Ireland are with their ruck speed, so it means that the All Blacks have to try their absolute best to slow that down a little bit. I think the Irish, they'll be doing the same after seeing the way that the All Blacks played up against the Italians. Number 7, I've gone with Sam Kane as well. I believe that is what Foster will be doing for this contest. He played 80 minutes last week, so I guess he's now proven that he is match fit, and as long as there's no other back injuries, should be able to play this matchup. Also making 100% of his tackles in the last game up against Uruguay, so didn't really do too much wrong, but perhaps up against the Irish in this game will need to be just that little bit more active. Number 8, Ardie Savia. You mentioned he hasn't really had a lot of rest time. I wonder what it's going to be like seeing him playing after a rest because, like you mentioned, we're used to seeing him back to back to back, and normally it's performance after performance from Ardie Savia, but now he's had to take a week off, sit back, enjoy the sideline. Now he gets back into the starting lineup. I feel like he'll be chomping at the bit to get out there.
He'll be ready.
He'll be ready and make that impact. But now looking through at the back line, the 9-10 combo, first of all, for myself, I've gone with Aaron Smith at number 9. I believe they will be opting for experience over the youngster Cam Roigard, who I may have off my bench. Number 10, I've gone with Richie Mo'unga. Brilliant performance from Damian McKenzie last week up against Uruguay, but I believe that they will still be sticking with Mo'unga as fly half, and he will also be goal kicker for the ABs throughout this game.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more there. I come with the exact same combination, Aaron Smith and Mo'unga. It feels weird because I was actually tempted to put McKenzie at 10, but I don't know because, again, he's actually played pretty well from a 15 position, so maybe what I would have to do is, if whoever I put at 15, if it was Beauden Barrett or if I put McKenzie there or even if I wanted to shift back Jordie Barrett, I slot the player at 10 and then allow McKenzie to come back to 15. But look, I've gone with Mo'unga there. I just think you got to rely on him, and he's been sensational for the Crusaders for a number of years now, and he's been pretty good for the All Blacks recently as well. And that combination that he has of Aaron Smith is vital. So that alone is the reason why I've gone with a 9-10 combination.
So now we move on to the centres. We recently saw the return of Jordie Barrett, and since returning, he has had a real impact on the way that this All Blacks backline has been able to function. But for yourself in the midfield combo, does Barrett occupy that number 12 jersey?
Yeah, no, he does. He definitely does. He's been playing, like you said, a lot of minutes throughout the group stages, and he will continue to do that from a starting position in this quarterfinal. And his partner in crime will be Reiko. I just think, they've rested him, obviously, for that game as well against the Uruguayans. And, what better time to obviously add him back in, straight into this quarterfinal. It's going to be a great matchup. I mean, Jordie Barrett and Reiko versus Bundy Aki and Gary Ringrose. I mean, that's it's going to be interesting to watch because, in my opinion, that's what's going to dictate the game. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens in that front. But Bundyaki, I mean, he's just been on a rampage throughout this tournament, and in my opinion, he has been the player of the tournament so far. So it's going to it's going to be tough to stop him in that case. And Gary Ringrose, an unsung hero of the Irish as well. So I mean, that's going to be a great battle between Reiko and him as well. But Reiko definitely, I think, can beat him out for pace. So, yeah, looking forward to see what can happen on that front.
He may be able to beat him out for pace, but does he beat him on current form? I think Rico has been struggling big time to find his stride throughout this Rugby World Cup comp. Gary Ringrose, he's a consistent workhorse for the Irish at 13, like you mentioned. And it could be very intriguing battle, which is why I've gone with the exact same as yourself. Geordie Barrett at number 12 and Rico Ioane at number 13.
Okay. Yeah, no,
I
like
think the All Blacks.
That's good. That's good. But I've also gone with it. There you go. Slam dunk. Fair enough.
Slam dunk. Could have thought about Whainā Nuku at 13, but I feel like that's too little too late for the All Blacks to make that change now, seeing as they haven't tried it throughout the rest of the Rugby World Cup. But now we've got the back three. So far, we're 12 from 12 with identical.
Yep.
Whainā Nuku.
Yep.
He scored a hat-trick in the last game, but I've gone with Mark Talia out on the left wing. Now, I don't normally do this, and I know he's a Blues boy, so that's why you're very happy. But I honestly feel like in the Ian Foster mind, he'll go Talia. He would have already probably had it slightly predetermined that he wanted Talia to go head-to-head with Mac Hansen, although now Mac Hansen may not be an option for the Irish. So, yeah, Mark Talia out on that left wing. Number 14, Will Jordan. That's what they've been going with. So I believe they'll be sticking with it. And now I need to reiterate, this is what Ian Foster would do. Number 15, Beauden Barrett.
There you go.
For me, McKenzie, after the way that he played at fullback up against Uruguay, yes, people would argue it was up against Uruguay, who were struggling in that game, but I believe McKenzie showed that him and Mo'unga is a decent enough option that they could have as a combo, and then maybe Beauden Barrett does find himself coming off the bench. But Ian Foster, he will start Beauden Barrett more than likely in that 15 jersey.
Yeah, look, I couldn't agree with you more. And like we said, we're going off what Ian Foster thinks, by the way, guys. From my point of view, I was always going to go with Mark Talia. It's similar to you. It's kind of like they've always planned for this to happen. It was always going to eventually happen when Mark Talia starts this game. Because again, when you look at the amount of minutes these two, Leicester and Mark Talia has played. Leicester's already played 3 games. So it makes more sense for Mark Talia even to play in this one. And why would you not play? Because they could have played him in that Uruguay game. I honestly do believe they could have done that. Because I think whoever would started that game, then the other one was going to play in the quarterfinal. That's kind of the way I saw it. But Mark Talia, number 11. Similar to you. Will Jordan at number 14. You just got to go with him. Another player who's had a lot of tries under his belt. I think he scored 4 tries now? I think it's 3 or 4 tries he scored. And then Beauden Barrett at number 15. I was always going to go with Beauden Barrett here because it's similar to what I said at the very beginning of this video. It's about how much minutes this player has played so far throughout this competition, and previously to the Rugby World Cup, he's played most of the 15 minutes. By the way, guys, so it just makes a lot of sense to go with Beauden Barrett there. He's tight and trusty, and of course, he has a lot of experience under his belt. It is tough though because McKenzie has just been on. He's been in the form of his life, really, and he's in a World Cup where he has demonstrated at the highest, the biggest stage, really, that he has the opportunity. Well, he definitely has the ability to play that 15 role and make a difference. But I've come with Beauden Barrett, same as you. That's all I can say.
And what don't we want to see Beauden Barrett doing in this game, Tim?
No. I'm not going to tell you. I know exactly what you're saying. No, I can't even say it. I can't even say it, man. I can. The little chip and chases. If Will Jordan's on the receiving end, it works. Did you see his line break up against Uruguay when Barrett decided to run the ball? It was sensational, wasn't it? Till he kicked it dead. See, that's the one thing I honestly think it works, by the way, guys. When you have someone like Will Jordan on their 14 and Mark Talia, who you normally wouldn't do it, do the chip and chase to, but when you have Will Jordan, and you got to utilize that. I just don't think McKenzie has that kind of chemistry with Will like Beauden Barrett does. I think they're better suited with each other. It could be both in the same, but just going off previous performances, I do think they're a better combination together.
Well, last week looked like Jordan and McKenzie on the same page, didn't it? From how they
Yes,
were playing.
against your. Are you kidding me? This is like. Yeah. Okay. That's one game out of. I can name you probably 5 games where Will Jordan did actually. Now that I think about it, wasn't there a chip and chase with Bowden Barrett to Will Jordan against Ireland in the last?
Maybe. How did that series go?
Oh god.
Too soon. It still hurts the Kiwis, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It definitely does. Luckily, I'm not a Kiwi fan. I'm a Bok fan, so I can happily say it was an enjoyable game. That's all I can say. But but no, I was obviously cheering for the All Blacks. No, just yeah, it's gonna be. I can't wait for this game. It's gonna be so good to see what actually happens. I really do want the All Blacks to get revenge. I actually really do want them to do it. It's gonna be tough though. It's gonna be tough.
Well, you've just scared off all the Irish viewers, haven't you?
Hey, no, I'm just being honest, guys. I'm being honest. I really do want the All Blacks to just show what they're about.
And of course, for them to be able to get that revenge, they will need a strong impact coming off their bench. 16, 17, 18, the front row replacements. Who have you gone with in this matchup?
Yeah, so coming off the bench, I've gone with the likes of Samisoni Takalaho as my hooker replacement. In terms of the props, I've gone with the likes of Tamati Williams as well as Fletcher Newell. So some big calls there, but it's just like we said beforehand, even the Groot, Tyrell Lomax, just a bit of uncertainty around Lomax in terms of the injury front. And even the Groot, it's a big call not to include him, but I think Tamati Williams I would choose him ahead of even the Groot right now, which is, it's crazy to think, but yeah, it's just the way I'm thinking at the moment.
And for myself, number 16, Samisoni Taukeiaho, I have decided to go with him as well. Number 17, Ethan de Groot. And number 18,
oh my God,
we've got to change. But, of course, I'm thinking from a Foster standpoint, he seems to enjoy Ethan de Groot playing a lot more than Tamati Williams. Mainly because I feel like by now we would have seen a lot more of Tamati Williams in the starting lineup in this competition. I would have loved to see him get a couple more cracks. So I think they'll try and bring Ethan de Groot back in and slowly bring him back.
I don't think he was ever going to start
the competition.
Though. I think, just to be honest, I never saw Tamati Williams as a starter in this World Cup. I always see him as the starter for the next one. That's where I've always seen it as. Like, and again, like, I mean, his teammate most likely would be Fletcher Newell. Maybe it's going to happen for the next World Cup. So they're a great player. So yeah, they're definitely making an impact off the bench.
But we finally got a change, like we mentioned, which is ideal because it might be the only one we have throughout this whole starting lineup and reserves. Number 19. For myself, I've gone with Sam Whitelock, 150 caps under his belt. Pretty handy player to have coming off the bench
pretty good.
later on in a game. And then number 20, I've gone with your guy, Dalton Papali'i.
I've also gone with Sam Whitelock as my replacement lock. And yes, I've gone with Dalton Papali'i as the replacement loose forward there. Just, again, I was considering actually Luke Jacobson, but again, he just hasn't really performed to the level as because he has been given opportunity within some of these games, but yeah, he just hasn't had a kind of a game where I kind of look back now where I'm like, he impressed me. I just haven't had that kind of feeling from him. So yeah, Dalton Papali'i loose forward off the bench.
And the 5-3 split for the ABs, I assume.
Yes,
what you've gone with here, which does leave us with 3 backs. For yourself, number 21. You're going with Cam Roygaard, surely, at this stage.
Yes, of course. It's 100%. Like it's Roygaard. It's always been Roygaard there. I can't think of did he come off when was the last time he came off the bench in the group stages? I actually can't think of the last game he did it.
I think it was up against Italy, if I'm not wrong. But they went with Roygaard late because him and McKenzie actually caused some quite big damage.
That's what it was.
And they both made
it was the Italy game. I think it was. No. Didn't Roygaard start that?
Against Italy, I think they went back to Smith.
You're right. Because Aaron Smith off the hat trick. That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. John, the young man, that he still has a few tricks up his sleeve.
Hey, no, he's great.
He's the veteran. Righty, so now you've got 22 and 23. Yep. We've already got all 3 Barretts in the starting lineup, so we can't have any more of those. Who have you got as that 22?
For the 22 option, look, it's not difficult, is it? I mean, there's only really one. Is there one? Am I forgetting someone? I mean, it has to be one. It's McKenzie, right? Like he's the only player that I thought you were going to say Havili for a second. I was like, what? No, it has to be definitely McKenzie. That's 100%. So that the future 9-10 combination for the All Blacks. That's what I've gone with off the bench. And then for number 23, I've gone with Lester Falanku. It's a big call, but I just feel you've got to have him in because you can also cover that 13, which we've talked about already. Number 11, you can even play 15. He can even do that if needed. But even 12 actually. He's played 12 a few times in the past. So yeah, he's just a very versatile player to have off the bench. So that's that's my team done.
So for myself, of course, Cam Roigard as my number 21 will add a real impact later on in the contest. Number 22, Damien McKenzie. Like you said, he's the best option for 22, and it was only very recently that the All Blacks decided to start giving him that chance at 22. Normally when Mo'unga started, they wouldn't have McKenzie off the bench.
They'd always only have one, yeah.
I'd love to see him get another crack here, and I think Fozzie would love to see that too. Number 23, after his hat-trick in the last contest, I've gone with Lester Fainanuku as that last man. Off the bench, to be honest, I can kind of see them maybe going with Anton Leonard-Brown off the bench at 23 as a possible option.
I do think this is the one pick, just to be clear, guys. I know we're obviously going for an Ian Foster team. That's what we have to do in these predictions. But I do think Leicester's maybe the one pick where we're kind of hoping that happens. But we'll see what happens there.
And yeah, coming off 3 tries, surely you get half a crack in this game, or at least a chance in the semi-finals if the ABs do make it that far. So pretty much we're relying on the Lucia prop replacement as who ends up doing slightly better in this, whether it's to Mighty Williams or Ethan de Groot. Hopefully we have the rest of the lineup right, though, and I feel like we shouldn't be a mile off. The only thing that I can think maybe that might change is they could even go with Fainanuku in that starting lineup at number 11, perhaps, depending on what they decide. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to check out Rugbyitch's YouTube channel. The link is in the description below. Also, check out the Rugby Recap, where we talk all things Rugby World Cup and international rugby. The link is also down below. But thank you all very much for tuning in. Do let us know who you think Ian Foster will be going with in the comments down below. Make sure you got your 3 Barretts. That's normally the first one on the checklist.
That's the checklist, yeah.
3 Barretts. You can't have more brothers because Julian's not playing and Akira's not in the squad. It's for the national anthem. It's for morale, I think. You got to have all 3 brothers standing next to each other. It's a good photo each and every time.
Something like in how tallest to the smallest. So it makes sense.
Or Bowden, he's not even that short, but he just is compared to the other 2 brothers.
Crazy. They just have a tall family. That's all it is.
Nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. I will see you all for the next one.